It's the first ever official world Sora gets to explore after finally leaving his island. Whenever I think of Traverse Town, I think of it as the main hub of the first Kingdom Hearts games, and with good reasons. There's a couple of shops to buy some items and upgrades at the first district. Merlin's home allowed you to practice some magic, and this is the good place when Sora met Donald and Goofy and became a team. Although I never played a single Final Fantasy game, I did find the characters like Leon, Yuffie, Cid, and Aerith memorable. It was also nice to have Leon as a brief boss battle when he met Sora, but the best bosses in Traverse Town is the guard in opposite armor. Now when it comes to the Dream Drop Distance version, it is a bit better than in the first game. I like how there's a hidden district and a lot of colors and buildings, and there's a Coliseum to battle against Dream Eaters with your own Dream Eaters. Not to mention, this is the only Triple D world where you get to revisit story-wise. I know the first game did that as well, but there was a goal that Sora and Riku needed to achieve in that world, which is to lock the keyholes, reunite the World's End with You characters with their partners, and take down some big bad Dream Eaters to help them get back to their home. But Traverse Town will only be the beginning of Kingdom Hearts in both the main game and the Manga Mastery exam, and more Disney Original Worlds were on the way along with more adventures to come with.
All for one, one for all.
Characters like Pinocchio, Jiminy Cricket, and Geppetto appear for the first time in the first Kingdom Hearts game, I never thought there would be an open world about Monstro the Whale, which means you have to explore his inner organs like his stomach and even his bowels. And I'll give him this, Monstro is a whale of a whale both on the outside and inside. It was pretty cool that Riku actually fought with Sora to free Pinocchio from a Heartless, and I like after the puppet and his father made it back to Traverse Town safely, Geppetto makes new gummy ships for Sora, Donald, and Goofy. In Prankster's Paradise, it did fit the Pleasure's Island's tone as a fun playground, but with deep dark secrets. And this place already convinced me to go check this paradise out. Although it was a shame we don't see the Coachman or anyone else here turning to donkeys, it was delightful to see the Blue Fairy in the Kingdom Hearts game. Also, I like Riku's story in Prankster's Paradise where he's being haunted by his past self from the time when he stole Pinocchio in an attempt to wake Kairi up after she lost her heart to the Heartless. It's whimsical and colorful in Prankster's Paradise, it's weird and ghastly inside Monstro. Both of these Pinocchio places are truthfully fun rides to go on.
I think you just might be finally starting to learn.
Similar to worlds like Enchanted Dominion and the Caribbean, there are a lot of fights and battles in Pure Pan involving pirates and flying around Neverland. In its debut in the first Kingdom Hearts, it successfully captures the joyful moment in the movie, the flying scenes. Whether it be on the pirate ship or inside Big Ben, flying around those places still bring a huge smile to our faces. What's even cooler that there's a bizarre boss where Sora has to fight against his own shadow. And as you would expect, you're gonna fight Captain Hook, and you might as well have fun with his codfish. However, there was one problem with Neverland from the first game. We never actually set foot in Neverland as a whole. That's where Birth by Sleep comes in, where the original Keyblade wielders help Peter and the Lost Boys on a treasure hunt and be on the lookout for Captain Hook and Vanitas. There was even at one point where Terra ended up being tricked to battle Peter Pan. If you're looking for an anime project that still captures the magic of the Peter Pan series, just head a second star to the right of Kingdom Hearts Neverland. It's the one Disney world besides Dream Drop Distance that appeared in all the games, but there are some logical explanations on why Hercules World is well known amongst the others. When it first appeared in the first game, it became a major tournament for Sora, Donald, and Goofy to participate in the game to defeat Heartless, but the Coliseum is capable of bringing in more opponents than those creatures. Final Fantasy fan favorite Cloud is in this world. Sora gets to fight Hercules all by himself, Leon and Yuffie join in like Smash Bros characters, eventually you get to fight Hades after completing Hollow Bastion, as well as battling all kinds of monsters from Hercules like Cerberus, the Rock Titan, and the Ice Titan. And let's not forget the epic match against Sephiroth. But despite all those worthy opponents, Kingdom Hearts 2 had the best open world of Olympus Coliseum. Remember that they only take the junior heroes to only the Coliseum gates. In this one, they now go into the underworld, and it looks amazing, and best of all, it has its own Coliseum. Another thing that's nice in here is the story arc involving Hercules' responsibility of being a hero after feeling tired of fighting Hades' monsters and the Hydra caused destruction on the Coliseum, leading to the second visit to help Hercules regain his strength again. The Birth by Sleep version was okay, but a nice prequel on the demigod's journey on becoming a hero. but Kingdom Hearts 3 presents some wonderful visuals from Thebes to Mount Olympus and amazing boss fights against the Titans. The only problem with that version is that there's no Tournament Coliseum for some reason.
Wouldn't it make more sense to host a Tournament Coliseum on Mount Olympus and fight Hades and the Titans again?
I know for a fact that Olympus is coming back in Kingdom Hearts 4, but whether it's just a cutscene or an open world, we'll just have to wait and see what other tricks Hades got up his sleeves. Olympus, the one Disney world where anyone can become heroes.
Yahoo!
Although Twilight Town made its first official appearance in Chain of Memories, not a lot is known about the place. The only clue that was given at that time was it's supposed to be a memory from the other side of Sora's heart, and that's when we open Roxas' chapter. In the beginning of Kingdom Hearts 2, it seems to capture the same journey that Sora did in the first game, just stretched to almost a week instead of 3 days. Roxas has some best friends, there's something mysterious within Twilight Town, and he gets chosen to wield the Keyblade. But the more Roxas tries to uncover what is going on, the more truth that has been revealed of who he is. Even though he was made as a temporary playable character in the first place, Roxas does end up becoming a memorable original character in the series. He gets along with everyone, he sits on top of the clock tower with his friends for some sea salt ice cream, and when he was a member of Organization 13, he was good friends with Axel. The game made it look like he was his own person, not a different version of Sora or even Ventus. But enough about Roxas' story, what about the rest? Well, it was a great start to introduce new enemies to the games, the Nobodies. The town itself is a pleasant place, but still secretive of what kind of surprises it's hiding. Some of the struggle battles are fun to battle, but fighting against Axel with 2 Keyblades, that's the one moment from the games I will never forget. In Kingdom Hearts 3, there was a cool swarm of Heartless and an enjoyable minigame on cooking with Remy. The downside with 3's version is that we only get to explore the station subway and the forest. We don't get to check the mansion that much, only as cutscenes. So there's no hiding that Kingdom Hearts 2 version of Twilight Town is the best open world version. But as a whole, the town is a wondrous place to have a summer vacation.
Looks like my summer vacation is over.
When Belle and the Beast made their first appearance in the first game, it was established that their world was disappeared, but their love for each other is what made them stay together. Now that Sora defeated Ansem and closed Kingdom Hearts, their original world was restored. The Beast's castle stayed true to the original design and look of the 1991 film, from the gargoyle statues to the night atmosphere. And since the castle is under a spell where everyone becomes an inanimate object, some Heartless blend well in the backgrounds. There's also an interesting storyline where one of the organization members, Zaldin, is trying to jeopardize Belle and the Beast's relationship by using the Beast's anger and steal the Enchanted Rose to make him a powerful Heartless and nobody. Because nobody breaks hearts like Zaldin? But enough with Gaston jokes. The Beast's castle has an amazing setting and a good story that's old as time.
Now, no more arguing, okay?
Boy, Monsters Inc. have been making a comeback recently after the 2001 release. There was a prequel, a midquel, and Kingdom Hearts 3 gave it a sequel. At first, it looks like they're reenacting the events of the first movie since the goal is to get Boo home. But they immediately explain that Monsters Incorporated has now become a laugh factory, which has become the perfect world for Vanitas and the Unversed to vandalize. Ever since he brought Randall back into the monster world, this slippery reptile vows revenge on Mike and Sully by collecting negative emotions and full control of Monsters Inc. As for the city of Monstropolis, the game presents a grand scale of the factory and a massive amount of suspense whenever trouble occurs both in and out. The design of the monsters captured the look of the Pixar movie, like the textures on their fur and scales, and Sora, Donald, and Goofy's monsters look creative and also a bit creepy. However, there is one issue with the Monsters Inc. level, and that is with Randall not being a boss battle. The Unversed boss is okay, but why couldn't he throw a few punches at Sora in the game, especially since he has the power to turn invisible? Plus, if Sora did hit him with that Keyblade, he could have changed the funny color like how Boo did in the climax. But to be fair, there was a cool door trick on getting Vanitas out of the monster world that I have to admit was my favorite moment in the level. And since it's now a laugh factory, some of the jokes are cute and funny. Monstropolis. It's creative, it's gigantic, and it's a fun Pixar movie that's still after our laughter.
So long!
Another world as a sequel to its original movie is Big Hero 6. Similar to Tangleba in news articles, there were hints that Sora and his friend would travel to San Francisco to team up with everyone's personal healthcare companion, Baymax. And Kingdom Hearts 3 does succeed as a successor to the movie. I know there's like 2 locations you can travel, like Hero's Garage and a square mile of the city itself, but what really stands out is Sora's interaction with the superhero team and the story arc of confronting a dark Baymax. When Sora took down those Heartless, they added they could study his technique so that they can be able to get rid of those creatures all by themselves so they can continue to help everyone. It not only presents amazing fight scenes for each member of Big Hero 6, but there was an ingenious scene where the heroes sit on top of the San Francisco Bridge having ice cream similar to how Roxas did with his friends both in the real and data version of Twilight Town. But then came Hero's story with his reunion with Baymax. You see, since it takes place from the events of Big Hero 6, the original ends with Baymax sacrificing himself to save Hero's life from being trapped in the void. However, he did leave a piece of his memory chip created by his deceased brother, Tadashi, allowing Hero to create a second Baymax. In the game, they are confronted by Dark Riku, who's from another timeline when Ansem possessed him, but he is secretly the replica Vexen created from Castle Oblivion. He came to this world to create a heart from data by using the first model Baymax that's equipped with Hero's now corrupted combat chip. And to do so, he wants Sora to kill Dark Baymax in front of Hero. And you do understand why the original Baymax means so much to Hero. He's all what he has left of his brother, who was the real creator of Baymax. So, if you're still looking for an official action-packed Marvel Kingdom Hearts world, don't worry, San Francisco is here.
Ba-la-la-la-la-la. Ba-la-la-la-la-la.
Here's another Disney princess world from another Princess of Hearts. Cinderella's world does stay true to the classic fairy tale and the message of believing in dreams and wishes. The locations look simple and relaxing, but there is still a sense of magic in the air. What I like most from Castle of Dreams is the dialogue from the characters, like when Aqua and Terra talked about holding on to their dreams, and the fairy godmother explained that both light and darkness are equally important, which is why this is the only world I'm actually glad that the Keyblade wielders don't have to face Lady Tremaine and the stepsisters. The real bosses are much more fun and creative. There's an unversed ringmaster in the ballroom, an evil pumpkin that almost resembles the dark pumpkin from Cinderella 3, there's even a showdown against Lucifer and a tiny Ven. And before you ask, they never explain how Ven got so small, and the fairy godmother had nothing to do with it. They just get to his storyline helping Cinderella design her dress.
Although I find it weird that she's talking to a person the size of the mouse and never raised any questions about it.
With nice music, simplistic visuals, and some fun gameplay, put it together and you've got the Castle of Dreams.
Oh, that's a big thank you.
So out of all the Princesses of Hearts worlds, Snow White seems to be the best in Birth by Sleep. It captures the whimsical yet terrifying nature of the movie itself. The charming moments would come from Snow White since she is the fairest princess and the 7 dwarfs for their lovable personality and colorful minds, while the scary scenes would come from anything revolving around the evil queen like her dungeon, the magic mirror, or have Snow White run away from her in the forest. It also has the best arc for Terra, Ven, and Aqua in the whole storyline. It is interesting that Terra is taking on the role as the huntsman, but he's trying not to fall for the same trap as he did in Enchanted Dominion. Aqua is trying to find a way to wake up Snow White from the poison apple, which I like how she was the one that guided the prince to Snow White, and it does explain how he found her in the end. And Ven's story is on helping Snow White to escape the Dark Forest, while he strongly believes his friend Terra didn't hurt anyone as the queen or the dwarfs claims what he's been doing. But I will admit I didn't like how the dwarves neglected Ven throughout his journey in the woodlands over stealing diamonds and Grumpy's argument. I mean, come on, he's just a kid, not the evil queen. Are they really taking advice from the angriest dwarf of the group? There is one thing I wasn't expecting to battle in the dwarf woodlands, and that is the magic mirror. Yes, he wasn't a threat or an obstacle to Snow White, and he was just giving answers to the queen. But in this game, the queen threw a potion at him, causing Terra and Aqua to get trapped in his realm to fight his big mass head. How cool is that? It may be at number 11 on the list, but the Dwarf Woodland is the fairest 7 Princesses of Hearts world one of all.
My service done. Adieu, O victorious one.
One may come from Kingdom Hearts 2 and the other from Birth by Sleep. However, both of these worlds have already been connected since the beginning, even before the Xehanort saga. In Disney Castle, it was introduced in the first game, but we never actually explored the place, only cutscenes saying Mickey is the king of the castle and he's gone missing. In the sequel, it officially became an open world and has a good storyline. The main goal of the game is to stop Maleficent from taking over the castle by going back in time to save the Cornerstone of Light. What is it? Well, it's a device that's supposed to repel the Heartless so they will never invade the castle. And the best part about exploring the castle, you get to walk around areas that were introduced from the first game, like the Topiary Garden that's modeled after the band concert cartoon, the throne room which has a gigantic distance, and the library when Sora meets Minnie for the first time, and when you help escort her to the Cornerstone, she actually fights the Heartless with her light powers. With Disney Town, it fully expands the kingdom to see what the rest of Mickey's home world looks like outside of the castle. And it seems to take inspiration from Toontown for the Disney parks, having that colorful and bubbly urban environment. There's some decent minigames, a good backstory on how Pete joined forces with Maleficent, and depending on which Keyblade wielder arc you complete, you get rewarded at the Million Dreams Award with different ice cream flavors. Disney Castle and Town are one of the happiest places in the Kingdom Hearts series, and everyone is welcome as can be to join its jamboree. Okay, I am cheating on this one because this is Disney Town for the past. However, this timeline takes place before Mickey became king and a Keyblade Master. Despite being part of the Disney Castle storyline, Timeless River is best described as a meta world. Think about it. Everything is black and white, everything is bouncing around, and whenever the characters talk, you can hear that distorted radio audio effect. They don't just turn everyone and everything into a retro cartoon, but there's some doorways that lead you to some classic cartoons and make missions out of them. There's the building side, which is based off the 1933 short Building a Building, Lilliput from Gulliver Mickey. The Scene of Fire is based on Mickey's Fire Brigade, and Mickey's house is actually based on Mickey's orphans because of the Christmas decorations. What's even more amazing is that you team up with Past Pete to battle Kingdom Hearts Pete and pull off those same cartoons that change the battle scene, and it's just crazy, yet fits the world respectfully. Well, there's an old saying, you can't beat the classics.
Man, that was weird.
I talked a little bit about Toy Box in my Kingdom Hearts 3 review and already addressed it's my favorite world from the game. It is the first time in the series that we finally have a world based on a Pixar movie. The story is that Woody and the gang had lost their owner, Andy, and the rest of their friends. It's revealed that the Toy Story world is split into two parallel versions. The one that Woody and Buzz are in, and the other has Andy, Slinky, Jesse, and the rest. And yeah, everything about the visuals is unbelievable. I love the giant toy store from every section. I love how you go inside a robot toy to battle Heartless. I even like the part where they tricked me into watching an ad for that fictional Venom Rex game, which plays an important role in the Remind DLC and Kingdom Hearts 4 before it shows the Toy Story toys. As it is a world where toys literally come to life, there are some creative figures Sora and the gang had to face. My personal favorite toy boss is that bunny girl, just how creepy and possessive it is.
Congratulations, you have become Benson's rival as the scariest doll.
There's even an interesting side plot on Buzz on trying to protect his friends, and he's afraid of being possessed like the toy enemies and having to attack his friends. This leads to young Xehanort possessing and capturing Buzz, leading to Woody calling the hooded figure an empty shell while stomping his boot to squish the darkness. Toy Box, it's more than just a child's plaything, it's a world that goes to infinity and beyond.
Now, off you go. To infinity and beyond!
Who in the world doesn't love The Nightmare Before Christmas? It's possibly the only holiday movie that I know of that celebrates Halloween and Christmas at the same time. I mean, look at it. Everything about it is still eerie as it was in the stop-motion film. The dark muted colors, the design of the monsters, including the trio's avatar, and many of the settings like the Spiral Hill, the town square, and Oogie's lair. And out of all the world that have been taken over by the Heartless, Halloween Town has the best Heartless enemies out of all the worlds. And you wanna know why? The Heartless are already monsters, so they blend in easily before they can attack the locals. In the first game, it had an interesting story where Jack is trying to build a heart for the Heartless, and Oogie Boogie is trying to use that experiment to control them. After he steals the handmade heart, some of the bosses are fun to fight. There's Lock, Shock, and Barrel to find Oogie's hideout. After that, you battle Oogie in his Joker-like casino, and then you have to destroy a Dark Oogie by popping Dark Bubbles. In the sequel, it expands the holiday hybrid by taking you to Christmas Town. And best of all, in the final mixed version, Sora, Donald, and Goofy are given their own Christmas avatars, and they look great! The enemies still blend in easily in both worlds, and the bosses are still fun. But I didn't like Oogie's new battle arena since you're stuck on a treadmill and you had to throw presents to get him down. But there was an interesting arc within Kingdom Hearts 2 world with Jack wanting to help Santa with Christmas, not take it away from him like he did in the movie, and uncovering a mystery on stolen presents. Halloween Town is a spooky world where everybody's waiting for the next surprise.
Happy Halloween!
Another Disney movie I talked about is the 1951 film Alice in Wonderland. It is an enjoyable movie for its colorful animation, memorable characters, and weird imaginations. And Kingdom Hearts still captures the unlimited imagination of Wonderland. It contains a lot of secret surprises around every area, like the Bazaar Room, the Tea Party, and the forest. If you sit on the chair at the Tea Party, you get a surprise. The Lotus Forest contains secret passageways and guidance from the Cheshire Cat, and in the Bazaar Room, after you survive the Queen's trial, you get to walk on the walls and the ceiling and uncover more secrets to make the place more like a home. And before you ask, Alice is not an official Disney princess. Even in the original, there were no implications that she lives in a kingdom or is considered part royal. My biggest guess is that they were trying to find a way to make Wonderland an official open world instead of being a dream created by Alice. So there had to be a way to put Alice in the Kingdom Hearts story because she is not a resident of this curious place. But as of now, there is no logical explanation about this princess confusion. But that's Wonderland for you. Logic means nothing to this place, and still an imaginative world of its own. It's the real Lion King remake and best additional Disney World in Kingdom Hearts 2. What makes the Pride Land extravagant are the landscapes. They all resemble the same environments as the 1994 film, like Pride Rock being dystopian after Scar took over, the Elephant Graveyard as the Badlands inhabited by the hyenas, the huge scale of the Wildebeest Valley that kills Simba's dad, and the Oasis becoming a paradise for Simba, Timon, and Pumbaa. Plus, Scar's battle is incredible, and he is one of the toughest Disney bosses you had to face. But the best part about the Pride Lands is the second visit involving Simba's leadership. He's been haunted by the ghost of Scar because he's afraid about disappointing others about him as the new king. Like Hero, you understand why he has these anxieties. Even after he learned that it was really Scar who killed Mufasa, he's still unsure about himself if he can be good as his dad. This leads to the ultimate test for Sora and Simba to battle a giant heartless called the Ground Shaker that's formed from many Scar ghosts. If Simba can face his fear and fight this monstrosity, then he can be ready to become king of Pride Rock. The story is amazing, the settings are gorgeous, the Pride Lands in Kingdom Hearts 2 still continues in capturing the Lion King's circle of life. Since both of these worlds are modeled after Fantasia, and Mysterious Tower did become an area in the Sleeping World version, we had to talk about the whole symphony. When Mysterious Tower first appeared in Kingdom Hearts 2, it already lived up to its name. There's a sense of magic with the staircase and meeting the powerful sorcerer and former Keyblade master, Yen Sid. The way they build his character in the game makes him a three-dimensional Fantasia character as the wisest teacher and wizard that ever lived. We do get to revisit the tower in Birth by Sleep, but they're meant for expedition purposes, not world story arcs. Luckily, Symphony of Sorcery does have a story arc as part of Sora Riku's exam. The main objective is to help Mickey wake up by finding a sound idea to destroy the dark music score that's imprisoning him. The only way to find a sound idea is by going to other music scores from classic Fantasia segments, the Pastoral Symphony and the Nutcracker Suite. What makes this world the best Dream Drop Distance Sleeping Realm is the use of music. It's the most prominent element in the original film. It's not meant to let you listen to the soundtrack, it was made to tell stories with no dialogue. While there is still spoken dialogue when Sora and Riku talks to Mickey or young Xehanort, throughout the playthrough, nobody talks in each of the music scores. Instead of that yacht reaction whenever they throw their Keyblades, it's replaced with a music sound effect. The Sleeping World also succeeds as a rhythm game, with each sound idea Sora Riku found, and if you play right, it unlocks a new bright area for the Pastoral Symphony and the Nutcracker Suite to keep the story going.
The music and the visuals in the games are so fantastic, I started to imagine what would the other Fantasia segments would look like Dance of the Hours or Riot Springs. There's already a dreamier dinosaur, so why not real dinosaurs?
As for the boss battles, the Shrimbach battle on Riku's was okay, but it didn't have the same substance as his last battle in the first game. But the Spelican is a fitting opponent for Sora and a nice continuation to the Sleeping World Traverse Town arc. Wonderful music plus beautiful locations. If you haven't put it together, the Mysterious Tower and the Symphony of Sorcery are music to my ears.
You are the key that will open the door to light.
If you look back at some of the original worlds made for the games, Hollow Bastion seemed to appear the most out of all of them, more than Twilight Town, Keyblade Graveyard, and even Traverse Town. When it first appeared in the first game, it fooled us to believe this was supposed to be the final world before we realized there was the end of the world to face Ansem. It already built up that this is the place for the Disney villains to team up and take over all the worlds led by Maleficent, and it already led to a massive number of surprises. Sora loses his Keyblade to Riku, Kairi is a princess, Riku gets possessed by Ansem to become Dark Riku, Sora turns into a Heartless to wake Kairi up, and Leon, Yuffie, and Aerith arrive at Hollow Bastion because it's their original home before it disappeared. And because it tricked us into being a final world, it has a variety of best bosses. You fight Riku after getting the Keyblade back, the Mistress of Evil herself, her Dragon form, which is the second hardest boss to face here, and the number one hardest Hollow Bastion boss is Dark Riku. The only tiny flaw that I have with Hollow Bastion in the first game is that you had to go right back where you started after saving Kairi, which means you had to get through the whole walkthrough to the final keyhole again. As for the new Hollow Bastion in the sequel, it is nice to see the world than just a dark castle. In this version, it's also a town marketplace, and the castle is the home to the real Ansem, Ansem the Wise, who is a scientist. And the one Sora defeated in the first game was an imposter and Xehanor's Heartless, who just took his name. Another thing that makes the second Hollow Bastion the best version is the plot involving being covered in darkness, leading to Sora fighting a swarm of Heartless with some help of the Final Fantasy characters. For the other versions, Birth by Sleep and Kingdom Hearts 3 were decent. Although Kingdom Hearts 3 doesn't allow you to travel Hollow Bastion, which later got its real name back, Radiant Garden, they did recreate the Cavern of Remembrance location from the second game, allowing Dea Sora to battle harder bosses of the real Organization 13 in Dea form. But I also like Radiant Garden and Birth by Sleep because it did answer some questions from the previous games. Who were the original Organization members before they became nobodies? What makes Kairi so important as a princess? And how did Xehanort become an apprentice to Ansem the Wise? Whether it's called Hollow Bastion or Radiant Garden, it's still a groundbreaking world that's full of mysteries and answers.
I don't need a weapon. My friends are my power.
Now here's the final world that knows how to wrap up Kingdom Hearts 2. After Sora, Mickey, Donald, and Goofy found a passageway from Twilight Town, the time has finally come for the game to find Riku and Kairi and take down the rest of Organization 13. It looks like a humongous city with the world's enormous castle, and every battle you face looks something out of a movie. At the very beginning of the world, Sora goes face to face with Roxas. He's not fighting him in favor of the organization, but because he was furious of everyone caring so much for Sora to come back from his long slumber than acknowledging Roxas' own existence. Since he is Sora's nobody, only one can remain. For the rest of the organization, the remaining one gave everything that they got in terms of their powers. There's Xigbar with his bounty hunting skills, Luxor's gambling ability to have Sora on a time limit and turn him into a card or die, and Saïx uses the power of the moon to clobber the heroes rightfully. And then came the leader Xemnas. Much like the original Xehanort, he always has some trick up his sleeves. Every battle that Sora confronts him, he always have a backup plan to make himself stronger than the boy who holds the key. If he can't trap in an illusion, let's try taking the showdown inside Kingdom Hearts. Already defeated? Well, if he's going down, he's taking Sora Riku with him. When it comes to the Sleeping World version, Dream Drop Distance, I thought it was a good final world for that game. It's a gigantic world with moving buildings, an amazing special move with Sora Riku's Keyblade, and some amazing interactions, including Sora believing in Roxas that he is his own person, and Xehanort tricking Sora to travel deep into the Sleeping World so he can form the real Organization 13, thus starting the Keyblade War. Although the world that never was is an epic world to end all worlds, there is one more world that still became the ultimate Kingdom Hearts world of them all.
You make a good other.
There was a tough decision on which world would be the best Kingdom Hearts world ever, this and the world that never was. While the world that never was is an epic finale to the first half of the Xehanort saga, it can often feel like you weren't prepared on what kind of showdown you're about to face. With the last world from the first Kingdom Hearts game, or End of the World, this was all a test to see if you have what it takes to defeat Ansem. The best way I can describe it is by going through a series of trials. If you want to take down the Seeker of Darkness, you have to go through several individual obstacles to get to him. First, make your way through the invisible maze. Next, take down some harlots and examine world fragments, including hollow bastions. Followed by a showdown to Disney's most evil and powerful villain, Chernabog, so you can go inside his volcano. Take down some more harlots to open the door, and then once you believe you are ready to fight, you can now open the door at the final rest and finally fight Ansem in the fragmental version of the Destiny Islands. With each battle Sora, Donald, and Goofy enter in, they become tougher and grander than you wouldn't believe. One battle has the three of them to attack Ansem and his Terra Bodyguard, then suddenly the bodyguard turns into a colossal fortress space station with Muscle Ansem with only Sora as the available fighter. Sora has to destroy parts of the station to free Donald and Goofy so they can join in to fight Ansem. And to make the final battle feel so satisfying, Mickey finally makes his appearance to help Sora and Riku to seal Kingdom Hearts with his own Keyblade. And with that, the first chapter of Kingdom Hearts had came to a close. But more adventures await Sora, Donald, and Goofy to find their friends and unravel other mysteries of Xehanort and the Keyblade War. Thanks to the first game and the final level, the entire series of Kingdom Hearts not only became the best Disney video game series, but one of the greatest video game series, period. And that is why I think End of the World is the best Kingdom Hearts world of all time.
Kingdom Hearts is light!
And there you have it, everyone. I looked over and ranked all of the Kingdom Hearts worlds and finally finished Disney Video Game Month. Thank you so much for watching my Disney video game reviews and my personal ranking of the Kingdom Hearts worlds. Did you agree with my list? What are some of your favorite Kingdom Hearts worlds or Disney video games? Well, feel free to leave in the comments below and explain why they're your favorites. And be sure to like, comment, and subscribe me for a new review and other project. I'm Matt Harry Patrick. Now if you'll excuse me, I got a lot of catching up to do on some other 2022 stuff that's worth talking about.
Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed this, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe me for a new review and other project every week. I'll see you soon.